Want to support the show? There are several ways to do that. One is to give us a 5-star rating to help people find us. Another is to become a patron of our show. We also have a store where we have amazing merch designed by Ashton Green and Coda. Follow the link in the description below and enjoy the episode. Hi, welcome to the Dartarian Show. I'm Alexander Dartarian. With me is Trey, and this is the Season 5 premiere. And we've talked about serial killers in the past, especially female serial killers with Elizabeth Bathory. But today we're going to talk about Aileen Wuornos, one of the most infamous female serial killers that's ever existed, and who's gotten popular again thanks to Roe vs. Wade possibly being overturned, with the Dead Men Don't Rape t-shirts that you see everywhere now. So Trey, you're going to tell us about Aileen Wuornos' life, and we're going to go all the way up to probably her first kill for this part 1, and then part 2 will be the rest of it and her trial and execution.
Ew. Her execution.
Yep.
And discussing on whether or not we believe her side.
Yes, that will be a big topic.
Yep, because that's a whole conversation. Okay, she was born in Rochester, Michigan in 1956. Mm-hmm. Her parents, Leo Pittman and Diane Wuornos. Mm-hmm. Her mother was a teen mom, and she had a son before that. His name's Keith.
Yeah. And
Leo was a child molester.
Convicted or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But like insane. So he was put in
a mental institution.
A mental institution, yeah. Mm-hmm. Her mother abandoned her and her brother when Aileen was like 4. Just was done with them. Being
a parent, I guess.
Yeah. As after Leo went to
prison.
Yeah, he went to the thingy. Mm-hmm. So, I guess in a way, she was saved from her dad, technically.
Yeah.
But she was given to her maternal grandparents. Mm-hmm. And they adopted them and raised them as their own.
Yeah.
They kept the fact that they were their kids, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. A secret. They didn't find out till Aileen was 12.
Yeah.
And that's probably not a fun thing to find out. Particularly.
I mean, one would have questions, follow-up questions with that conversation. Like, who are my real parents?
Well, yeah. But, I mean, they aren't friendly people.
Yeah.
Her grandfather was abusive physically, sexually, which is great. And then his wife...
So she escaped one molester and went to another one.
Yeah. And his wife was an alcoholic who was also abusive. So that's wonderful.
So with all serial killers that we do on the show, we always try to figure out nature versus nurture. Like, are you born this way, or did someone create you to be a killer?
Right.
And right now, with that first couple minutes of you telling me about Aileen's childhood, it's starting to sound like more nurture than nature.
Yeah.
With the molestation and the
abuse. Yep. You can definitely be raised into being who you are. Everyone is.
Yeah.
In their own way. But it also depends on who raises you. So, anyway, so she's living with Keith, her older brother, and her grandparents. She says that she's had sexual contact with both her father, and her brother.
Okay. It's like a flowers in the attic moment.
From a very, very early age.
Yeah.
So we're talking like 4 and on.
Disgusting, but okay.
There's no way to corroborate this.
Yeah, I doubt Keith's going to be like, yeah.
Keith's dead.
Okay. So.
And
Well, it was a long time ago, so.
The grandfather is also dead, obviously. So no one can, fact check this. It's just what she says. But, her being sexual at a young age, that's true, right?
Mm-hmm.
Promiscuous? Is that the right way to describe that? Oh, she was trading sex for everything, so I guess prostitution would be better.
Yeah, but like it was like for cigarettes and beer and money and stuff. So I guess it would technically be for like a barter system. She was bartering her body for stuff. So I guess prostitution. She was in prostitution very early age.
Yes, she got pregnant at 14. She claims that Keith is the father.
Mm-hmm.
So she says that her older brother is the father to her baby.
Which I don't know why you would lie about that. I mean,
I don't know either.
I mean, that's like it's incest. So you would think you'd be like, yeah, some random dude had knocked me up or something. But like, no, it's my brother. So I kind of believe that.
Well, I've also read that some of the neighbors thought that it was one of the grandfather's friends who frequented all of the time.
I mean, when your whole family's molesting you, I mean, it's hard to tell who the father really is.
They sent her to a home for unwed mothers, which is common.
So, especially back then, yeah.
And on March 23rd, 1971, she gave birth to a baby boy who was immediately given up for adoption.
Yeah.
Because...
Can you imagine that Ancestry.com? That you send in your DNA and then finding out you're Aileen Wuornos' son or granddaughter or grandson?
I think...
I mean, that'd be... I don't even know if, like, you would want that fame. Because that's, like, the wrong kind of fame to have.
I definitely wouldn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
I mean...
I don't know. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, that's true.
With the age of TikTok.
Yeah. There's so many liars on TikTok.
I know there is. And they're easily fact-checked.
Yes, they are. She returned home after the adoption of her child. And her grandmother died of liver failure because of the
drinking, yeah.
The drinking.
Cirrhosis of the liver. Usually.
And here's a little side part.
Mm-hmm.
Eileen's biological mother, the one that gave them up, is convinced that Aileen killed her mother. She thinks that her grandmother...
died of liver disease?
Yeah, caused by Aileen.
I mean... It could have been like maybe she was drinking because Aileen and Keith were a burden and she couldn't handle it. But like, if anything, if that was the case, then anything, Eileen's real mother is the one that caused that.
Yeah, but it's not ever a child's fault what a parent does.
Yeah.
Or grandparent.
Yeah, so I mean, Aileen wasn't like handing beers like drink, bitch. Yeah, like that's not how that works.
No, because she was a child.
Yeah.
Well, after Grandma died, her grandfather was like, I don't want these kids in my house anymore.
Yeah.
My responsibility to them is over now that the alcoholic wife is gone, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So...
Well, he wasn't the best grandpa, so...
Aileen and her brother Keith were wards of the court for a limited time.
Yeah.
Because Aileen ran away. And, her life of crime began. She was hitchhiking, which is not a crime, by the way.
Not
unsafe.
Yeah, unsafe, but not a crime.
Prostitution.
That's a crime.
Which is a crime. And in May 1974, so she was, 17?
Around there, 16, 17, yeah.
Yeah. She was put in jail in Jefferson County for disorderly conduct,
Mm-hmm.
drunk driving, and firing a weapon from a vehicle.
Okay, so typical Saturday night for a teenager in the 70s.
I don't think so.
I mean, well, it depends on Jefferson City, like up north or down south. Because down south, that's a normal Friday night.
I think it's still up in the northern
Oh,
area.
okay, yeah, they don't like gunplay as much up there.
Yeah. And 2 years later, in Michigan, still, she was arrested for assault and disturbing the peace because she attacked a bartender.
Okay, what did the bartender do?
It doesn't say what the bartender
like
does
people don't
because
get
she's the
attacked.
one that went to jail.
Yeah, it's like people don't get attacked for no reason.
Sometimes they do.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, if you're drunk or something, like, but he probably said something to her or something. I don't know.
It's still,
A crime.
yeah, I was going to say, in the police's view,
Yeah.
it's still unprovoked.
Yeah.
After Keith died,
How did he die?
cancer,
Well,
she decided that Michigan is no longer the life for her. So she's hitchhiking everywhere.
which was really big in the 70s
Yes, it
and
was.
80s. It was huge.
Yes, my parents did it, which is wonderful to hear, considering that time period is big with serial killers.
Yeah. And then most of them were hitchhike killers.
Yeah. It's the easiest to kill, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially with no cell phones back then.
Nope. You basically were like, when you got in a vehicle in the 70s, it was like 50-50 whether you made it to your destination or not.
Roulette.
Yeah.
Anyway, she finally arrived in Florida, and she met a yacht club president.
Mm-hmm.
He was 69 years old,
Yeah.
which is a wonderful age.
Huge age difference between her and him.
Yes. He's wealthy, which is a plus for someone who's
Came
lived
from nothing.
the
yeah.
way that she has.
And being a yacht president, you really do have to be wealthy because you have to own a yacht, and yachts
Yeah.
are expensive.
Yachts are expensive. They got married in 76, which, I mean, she's still like, what, early 20s?
Yeah. Early 20s, and he's like in the 70s.
He's 69.
69.
Which is disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, Anna Nicole Smith did it, and the Playgirls for Hugh Hefner, they did it. You marry for money.
Yeah.
I don't blame her one bit for marrying for money.
Not from where she came from, no.
No.
But the...
There's worse reasons to get married
Yes,
than
there
money.
is.
So,
The yacht owner, Louis Fell, it's his name. Yeah, he was happy with her.
yeah.
He loved her for that time period.
Mm-hmm.
And then she started getting into bar fights again. Which kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like self-sabotage. She was
She's-
decently happy
yeah.
where she was with someone who loved her for who she was. And she couldn't stop.
She got into a self-destructive stage in her life. Every time something was going well and she was happy, it was like she was waiting for the other shoe to drop, so she would like self-sabotage. So like she loved being miserable, I guess.
Oh, that's all she knew.
Yeah. So being happy for everyone else is one of those times where like you're just like, yes, I'm happy, I don't want it to end. Her, it was like, oh, I'm happy. Oh, God, something bad's really going to happen. 'Cause she was happy for a while with her brother, and then he died, and that was very devastating for her. So, it's weird. Like, everybody's different.
Yep, everyone's life is different.
Yeah.
But her husband, Mr. Fell, was appalled at her bar brawling behavior.
Mm-hmm.
and he lives the high society life.
Yeah,
so
the well-to-do.
There's no place for someone who fights in bars. So he had the marriage annulled after a few months.
Yeah.
Which sucks. I mean, if she could just stay away from the fighting, I guess.
Yeah.
It makes no sense, though, because you think he'd know who she was. Do you think he could change her?
No, it was more of a... she hid herself from him, according to reports of people that were around her and him. She just pretended to be nice and loving. The best way I can describe it is a narcissistic person pretending that they're completely infatuated with you, and then after a couple of years in the relationship, it starts to change, and then they start showing their true self.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing. Like, they pretended, like, you always, when you go into a relationship, at the beginning of the relationship, you always put on your best face. You want the other person to like you, so you pretend a little bit. Most people don't pretend that much, and it's not for that very long. But there's other people who, like, I guess know that they are bad people, so they pretend longer. And
harder.
Yeah, and harder. And after a while, they change. Now, I'm not saying Amber and Johnny Depp are this way, and I'm not saying which one was, because that's not for me to decide. That's for the public to decide, and I guess themselves.
We are part of the public.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not getting sued, so.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah. But that was my rundown of a narcissistic person pretending to be nice.
A non-narcissistic person.
Just a normal person, and then getting in a relationship and showing their true selves.
Except she showed hers way earlier than normal people do.
Aileen, yeah. She was like 2 months. She's just like, I'm tired of pretending. Let's go.
Even though money would be nice.
Yeah, and she did, I think in a way, she really did love this dude. But like, does she really know what love is?
No.
I mean, yeah, like...
She's never been shown real love in her entire life.
Yeah, and that's another reason why maybe she felt uncomfortable. Like, this person, like, that, and it could have reminded her of her grandpa.
Ew.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of factors to factor in this relationship with him. So, with her, it's the grandpa, him being, like, ancient. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I believe that love is ageless as long as you're above the age of 18. So, yeah, as soon as it gets below 18, you're a piece of shit. And you should die for even liking those. So, unless you're underage too. I'm not going to dispel love, young love. But, like, if you're 18, that's the limit. That's it. That number. 18.
Okay.
Did you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
sort of.
Yeah, like 18, if you're above 18, 18 is as low as you can go. And if you go, and sometimes that's too low, especially if you're too old.
Yeah. No.
Like 6 years. You have to be within 6 years.
6 years?
6 years. Like say, like, you're 24 and you meet an 18-year-old. And that's still gross. 3 years. Let's do 3.
Well, it doesn't,
I honestly think that 18 is too young anyways.
It doesn't matter.
21.
Because, like we've said before, the 70s is definitely a different time period.
Yeah, but I hate that excuse.
Yeah.
Like,
parents never knew where their kids were.
Yeah. It was a different time period. And I was like, yeah, but the reason parents are the way they are now is because the 70s parents raised them.
Yep.
And they were like, okay, well, yeah, we had way too much freedom. Let's reel it back in. And then now the generation that was raised by the 70s is having their own kids. And then, what? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
having their own kids, and they're just like, oh, they weren't strict enough. Or there's some people that are like, oh, my parents were too strict. Let me go buck wild.
Well, a lot of parents then, the people who grew up in the 60s and 70s,
Mm.
they really weren't as strict as they should have been, which is, like I said, with the millennials, we're a different kind of parent, millennial people. And I guess it doesn't really matter because, Gen Z, when their parents, is going to be completely different than how, millennials parent. It's always different.
Yep.
Some people evolve with the times and some people don't.
Yeah.
That's
So what happened after Lewis annulled the marriage?
She continued her downward spiral.
Mm-hmm.
She spent a $10,000 insurance check that was for her now ex-husband. She spent it on a very nice luxury car,
Mm-hmm.
and then wrecked it. So she didn't get very far in it.
Yeah.
But it just bothers me. She uses his money, buys a car, a really nice car, and then wrecks it.
Again, self-destructive.
Over the next 10 years, she drifted aimlessly.
Mm-hmm.
She worked as a prostitute, which is all she knows, really.
Yeah.
She's committed crimes that range from forgery
Mm-hmm.
all the way up to theft, armed robbery, and, of course, assault.
Yeah.
Those are always come hand in hand, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so far, her life has been, I can understand all of the crimes she's committing. Like the theft, the forgery, the assault, because, it's tough out there, especially for a woman on her own. And
someone who's been on their own life.
and bars where this isn't like nowadays to where like you can cancel them online. This is like men were like flat out like bold, like way more bold than they are now, because obviously they can be
I disagree.
canceled. I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying, like back then, if you slapped a girl on the ass and like she got mad, everybody in the nation were like, "Oh, why is it a big deal?" Like now, if you smack someone on the ass and they complain about it, there's some repercussions, for men.
Well, maybe Aileen was the repercussion.
Yeah.
She was not going to
And that was one of
way
her
that she was being handled.
Yeah, and that was one of her defenses. And a lot of people, agree with that defense.
Anyway, in 1986, in a gay bar in Daytona,
Mm-hmm.
she met Tyria? I'm not sure. More.
Hmm.
She was 24 years old. And they began a violent relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, that's all she knows.
Yeah.
Well, it lasted about 4 years. And, more was drawn in to Eileen's cycle of life. The vandalism, the violence, the harassment, the assaults.
Yeah.
So she definitely had it rough. And then she's sort of happy for 4 years.
Yeah.
And of course the killing started while she was with Miss Moore.
Yeah. She found that when she found Tyree or Miss Moore, she found love. Like this is the first time she's actually loved someone. And she says it quite often, and if you go back in interviews and if you read her book,
Yep.
that she is the only one for her. And after 4 years, and during this time, there were a lot of fights between them about financial. Like, because Miss Moore was paying for everything, she was working, and Aileen was prostituting. And sometimes she would make some money, sometimes she wouldn't. It was, if I'm not saying that she was an ugly woman, but like, you know, I guess a lot of people didn't like her. She was off-putting, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, it could also just be, you know, 'cause sometimes when people are like really honest or in your face a lot, that's off-putting. Even though,
she was. If you listen to her talk in her interviews, that's pretty much how she was to everyone, and she was a very in-your-face, honest, don't take any shit kind of person, which is admirable, and a lot of good qualities with that. But she
also added the murderous part.
Murderous and the violence and everything, and that's not good. But during one of her fights with Miss Moore, she took off for a while because she thought she was losing her, and that was a big fear for Aileen.
So,
like, Miss Moore was tired. She was about to leave her, and this would lead into her first murder because she told Aileen that if she didn't get the money for her side of the rent, that she was leaving. Miss Moore was leaving. She was tired of it. And that's what's going to lead up to Aileen. That's what the detectives and everything really feed into us. That's the reason she did it. But there could be a whole nother reason that we're going to get into.
There's always other reasons.
Yep. And no one really knows except for Aileen and the person she murdered, so because no one else was there. Do you have Eileen's account of what happened?
With what?
With the first murder.
How'd I have her account? I thought we were only going into the fact that she started murdering.
No, we're talking about her first kill.
Richard Mallory.
Yes.
Well, no, I didn't go into that exactly with the research because I thought that was next episode.
Okay.
So, just give me a second.
All right. Well, I know a little bit about it, so while you're finding some of it, Richard Mallory is that his name?
Mallory, yes.
Mallory picked Aileen up on an exit ramp where usually she stayed to get prostitution work, and they went to a secluded area.
To do sex stuff.
To do sex stuff, yes.
Yeah.
And he was very forceful with her because this man had been convicted of rape beforehand.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. So, bro, sorry. Once a raper, always a raper. You're going to rape. And her accounts are he attacked her and she defended herself by shooting him.
Yep. Which is
logical.
Yes.
But he was completely naked and she had shot him multiple times.
Which was a little difficult in the self-defense part.
Sorta, but not. A lot of people don't realize that when you're in the heat of the moment, you really don't know how many times you pull that trigger, especially in a fear for your life thing. So she emptied the entire gun into him.
Into his chest.
Into his chest, yes. But that being said, and people are like, oh, well, it only takes one bullet to stop somebody.
Sometimes.
Like, when you're being physically assaulted and sexually assaulted, unless you've been in that situation, you have no idea how you would react. And if you had a gun, yeah, you would empty the entire gun to this dude.
Maybe. If you're that kind of person.
Yeah. But you're scared. You're heightened. You want them to stop. You want to stop them.
Everybody is different.
Yes, everyone is different. But like, how would you react? Would you empty the gun in him?
Yes.
If he assaulted you like this?
Yes.
Yes, and a lot of women would.
If I had a gun, yes.
Yeah.
But
so
then other women would have only shot him once.
Yeah. But that's why I don't believe, like, well, then why did she empty the whole gun into him? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think Miss Moore knew about this first kill? And because later in her testimonies, she said she didn't know anything about it for a while.
I think that she did know.
You do?
I think that Aileen would have been upfront with her about how she got the money. Because Miss Moore had a problem with Eileen's prostitution to begin with.
Yeah. So
it would please her to know that she did not do the dirty with this guy, but, you know, that she killed him for trying to force her into it.
Yeah. So that's my thing too. I don't think that she ever lied to Miss Moore. I think she was very upfront with her.
Maybe not about big stuff.
No, I think she would have came home scared, especially if this really happened. I think if he really did sexually assault her, she would have been scared, and she would have came back and told her about it, wanting comfort.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and saying like I had to kill him or I had to do this and stuff. And Miss Moore was like, okay, and then she was like, well, I got this money. You know, and then Miss Moore was like, okay, you know.
Yeah, and, you know, that's another thing that people point out with her self-defense route. The fact that she took the money.
Yeah, I mean, again, and it's a lot of things have to factor into that because she was poor. Yeah. You know, she had a hard life. And I'm not defending her. I mean, I am, but not kind of like that. There's no excuse to kill another person. Except for the self-defense thing. I think that if he really was trying to rape her, I believe that killing him was the right answer. Or at least, I don't know. Anyways, that's not my job. I'm not a judge. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a jury. Or I wasn't on the jury. So whether she's guilty or not is not up to me to decide.
You can speculate.
Yeah, I can speculate. Like, this first kill, if that was the only one she did, do not blame her one bit.
Yeah, but she did not like humans to begin with.
Yes, especially men.
No man in her life has given her a reason to like
them. Yes, I know. And like I said, and that's understandable. But when she starts killing multiple people, then that's when it becomes a problem.
Well, yeah, because she liked killing.
Yeah, it felt good. And it was probably more of a... Like, that first kill... Most first kills for serial killers are usually accidents. They have a fantasy, they have a rich fantasy life, and I'm not saying this is Aileen at all, but I'm just saying, like, with John Wayne Gacy, we talked about him in one season. We talked about how his first kill was an accident. Dude came in with a knife, he responded, thought he was getting attacked, so he killed him. And he found that sexually gratifying. More so than sex. So that's why he killed him. And with her, it was a fear for her life, and I don't think it was a sexual gratification for her. I think it was more of I have power. For the first time in her life, she had power.
Yep, she could do something about something that was uncomfortable for her.
Yes, absolutely. And like when you don't have power your entire life, you're talked down to, you're treated like crap. You're literally treated like a sex toy from some men. And then when she finally gets that power, when she kills Mr. Mallory, even if he assaulted her or not, just the fact that she killed him and had power, there's some people out there that say there's no greater power than having power over life and death. I mean, who has that? God?
If God exists, yes.
Yeah, if God exists, God has that power. So when you choose whether to end someone's life, that can play into a narcissistic person, which we know Aileen was. Aileen was a very narcissistic person. But she had to be. She had to look out for herself.
She had to survive.
Yeah, she had to survive. It was a fight or flight thing. And Aileen was not big on the running away until after she did something bad. She had very good survival instincts with running away before she killed Mr. Mallory. Something got hard or tough, she either fought her way out of it or she ran away. So, yes, I think that she was completely upfront with Miss Moore, 100%, and Miss Moore was okay with it.
I think so too. Well, it's money, and that's what she wanted.
And that's completely speculative.
Yes,
So,
it is.
yeah, speculation.
Because of course.
We don't know. There was, it's her word versus her word.
Yeah, she says that she didn't know anything, which is.
And when we go into the trial and how Aileen was caught, it's gonna be very surprising with Miss Moore and Eileen's relationship going further, or past that. So I think that it's going to be a big moment in the trial and her getting caught. But as of right now, she's got her first kill, and it's going to lead her down a path of gruesome murders.
I was going to say more
and
murders.
Theft, and really just feeding into that power ego that she's going to have. And I mean, that's what her famous quote comes in: "Dead men don't rape," and how the defense of that will be used in her trial. And but if you've ever seen the movie Monster with Charlize Theron,
I have not.
You have not?
No.
Charlize Theron really captures her pretty well. So if you guys want to watch a movie about Aileen Wuornos, and really, I guess they kind of put a little bit more emphasis on making her sympathetic in this movie, how it was never her fault for killing these many people, and how you just feel really bad for her. And
same
Miss
thing
Moore.
with the Netflix special. I can't remember what it's called. The Criminal Cases. They did an episode on her as well, and they also super highlighted her past and the fact that.
Well, it's important. When you look at someone's criminal career, you always look up how they grow up, especially with serial killers. You always look into their background. You want to know why they did it, because our human brain can't understand how people can kill multiple people, and especially with brutality. Now, most female serial killers are poisoners or angels of mercy, or
angels of mercy.
or angels of mercy, or black widows. Black widows are another ones that kill for money. They marry and then they kill their husbands and their families. So
I can't believe they get away with that more often than not, too.
Yeah, and it's actually surprising. I'm sure there's still people out there that are getting with it now. Especially angels of mercies, nurses, and all that stuff.
Doctors.
Yep, doctors. But with women,
caregivers.
Yeah, with women, that's usually how they kill. So to have a woman or female serial killer, right, kill with a gun, it's a little bit different. I mean, obviously, she's not killing with a knife or with the brutality of like a John Wayne Gacy or Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer, but it was still not in the norm. And when they found Mallory's body, they didn't even think it was a dude or a girl. I mean, they thought it was like a robbery gone awry, like it was a dude that robbed him. They had no idea about Aileen. They weren't even thinking a male. So she got away with it. The first murder, if that was the only person she murdered, she would have got away with it completely clean.
Don't forget his criminal background.
Yeah, and with his criminal background and everything. So they were just like, whatever.
Shit happens.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, they just looked at his background. They looked where he was. He was naked. His car was stolen. All his money and shit was stolen. So they were like, oh, robbery gone wrong. And I'm not going to say cops look for the easiest way to close cases, but they do.
Also speculation.
Yeah, it's also speculation.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. And we've talked about police's incompetence on this channel before, or this show before, with the John Wayne Gacy only caring about Robert Peist instead of the 32 other people that he killed.
Yep.
And that new documentary about John Wayne Gacy, the confession tapes of John Wayne Gacy, they also focused only on Robert Peist.
Yep.
They were pulling bodies out of I know this is not Aileen, but they were pulling bodies out of the basement, and they're just like, where's Robert Peist?
Yeah.
Like, I would have been like, who are these people that are in your basement? Like, there's 30 people down there. Like, they didn't ask any questions about that. They're just like, okay, we got to find Robert Peist's body. That's the entire documentary was just about. They should have called it Robert Peist.
Yeah, they should have. It was.
And if I was a family member of one of these other victims, I would be very upset. Because I was like,
their lives didn't matter.
Yeah, like that, because he was a runaway and he was gay, that didn't matter. You know, like that's BS. But all right, guys, that was the first part of Aileen Wuornos. Her life was very, very tragic. Early life, full of sexual assault, molestation, and violence, and it all led up to her eventual serial killer nature.
Yep.
With the first murder of Mr. Mallory in a secluded area and the theft of all his stuff. Now, in part 2, we will be going into more detail about the killings and the trial and the execution of her, and really focus on whether that nature versus nurture is going to come in. As of right now, I'm definitely thinking nurture. She was basically made into this speculatively.
I agree. It definitely has being raised a certain way has a big impact on who you are as a person.
Yeah. And the way she was raised was
horribly.
Horribly. And there are a lot of people out there that suffer this, that have that home life. And all we can say is, if you're listening, please don't kill anyone. There's people out there that will love you.
Yep, you just gotta find them.
Yep. Thank you, guys. And this has been season 5 premiere. We will be doing part 2 next week, and then I'm super excited about this season.
The whole season?
Yeah, the whole season. The episodes we're bringing out, and instead of releasing them on Instagram, because I think we got out of order last season when we released them on Instagram and stuff, we just kind of like, I don't know, I guess I didn't look at the call sheet or whatever, the episode sheet every time we did it, but we got a little out of order, so I'm not going to post those or at all. So you'll just have to listen every week to see what we're talking about.
Yep.
And thank you, guys, and follow that link below for everything that we got, all the goodness and stuff. And we will catch you next week for part 2 of Aileen Wuornos.